Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about the HotJo. What's HotJo? Well, it's not this one, and it's not this one, and it's certainly not this abomination, and it's definitely not this one, because this is Joe Cool and not Joe Hot. This is HotJo. Yep, it's a mug, but not just any mug. A mug with a specific purpose in mind, whose history will take it from the Earth to the far reaches of the galaxy. So join me as I perk your interest with this steamy, coffee mug-related trivia. Gary Ross wasn't a potter, a kitchenware designer, or even on this guy's level when he invented the HotJo. See, Gary was a marine biologist, and he has always stated, up to even interviews in the last few years, that his designs were based on the natural elements, and the HotJo was specifically inspired by the ocean. What I feel he leaves out is it seems less in accordance with the majesty of the ocean than the desire to resist it. When Gary created the HotJo in 1983, it was one of the first mass-produced travel mugs for home. Now, Gary didn't invent the concept of taking coffee on the go. In fact, it's something that's been around nearly as long as folks have been slinging the morning wake-up juice into their mouths. However, in 1978, real estate developer Joseph F. Corey invented the first travel mug with a non-drip lid and an insulated interior. These disposable mugs would take off immediately in California gas stations and spark a line of imitators. Gary Ross, out doing his marine biology along the California coast, likely took note of the popularity of these no-spill cups when he made his design. However, adding a wider base for less spilling, a taller top for less sloshing, channel inside for drinking, and a reusable lid, Gary created a ceramic travel mug that not only insulated the beverage, it also made it less likely to spill in any situation. Yet one certain one for this springs to mind: having coffee out on a boat. While I could find no specific mention of it, it sure seems like the HotJo had a nautical life on its mind when it was born. In a way, this makes it more interesting that the HotJo has led two lives. First, it is remembered as an icon of the 80s. Latchkey kids will probably still recall their parents having one or two of these around the house. And the space-age design sure fit in with everything in the 80s. But in their second life, they joined the fleet, but not to travel among the waves, but rather among the stars. They joined Starfleet when the set designers for Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the third, and may I say, best installment in the Star Trek TV shows, chose many interesting containers for their drinking choices, including candle holders turned upside down, and the mug that we now know as the HotJo. The HotJo became absolutely prevalent in the series, with nearly every character at some point drinking a cup of Klingon Raktajino from one of these. The set designers mixed it up using both the older design with the finger indentation and the newer design on the show as well. They also contracted with the company to make some special purple ones that hadn't been sold to the public previously. Occasionally now these are available and are called Deep Space Purple. The HotJo nearly seems destined to be a space-age 80s relic that's perfect in the future, and for me, I can live with that. In fact, Deep Space Nine wasn't even the only 90s science fiction show set on a space station with warring factions having it out on the edge of the galaxy that featured the HotJo. It seems the strikingly similar Babylon 5 and Deep Space Nine both had the same taste in mugs. If I had a nickel for every time a HotJo mug was seen in the depths of deep space, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it is still weird. Having finally acquired my own HotJo a couple of weeks ago, I can tell you, I'm falling in love with this mug. Not only does it give me all the Star Trek feels my coffee dopamine rush was craving, but it's also stable. It keeps my coffee hot a heck of a lot longer, and just kind of looks cool as hell. So from here on out, when I want a cup of joe, make mine a HotJo. No, not that one. This one. Every time. Thanks for watching. Join me at tlbug.com for all my links to my art and other projects.